What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. In addition to finding a whole bunch of trash, we found some very interesting stuff here on this land, and I thought I'd take you around and show you guys the most interesting things that I found. And in fact, the very most interesting thing that I've ever pulled out of here was just the other day. My wife and I have been pushing back. Let me see, where's my finger? There it is. We've been pushing back in this area right here and opening this up more and more, because this is a potential place where we might want to put a house, like back here in this area. So we kind of want a yard area right over here, right? So as I'm pushing back in there, and let me get you in frame, let's see, there's the well house right there. And so we've opened up all of that space right there, where before you couldn't even go through there. Well, as we're pushing that back, we're finding all this really interesting stuff. And my wife and I both had our minds blown the other night when we were out here right before we were about to go home. I thought, you know, I'll take one more push and see what we get. And I pushed through the sumacs and all the sticker bushes, bramble bushes, and everything else, and I found this. You can't make this stuff up, guys. I mean, you can see it's been sitting in the dirt for a very long time. It's got a whole lot of rust right over here. But if you don't know, that is an old-timey safe. And the way I know it's old-timey, for one, it's got like cast iron wheels on it down there. They're kind of buried in the dirt because it's so damned heavy. But when you look at this knob, check it out. I think it might not be brass, but it sort of looks like it's brass, and it does turn a little. I had it turning. It will turn just a little bit. I think I could free it up and get it turning, but I doubt I'd ever be able to crack this safe because, well, it probably wouldn't be worth it. I doubt it's full of gold or anything like that. In fact, I know it's not full of gold. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you how I know that. But let me take you over here for a cruise, and I'll show you some of the other crazy, weird stuff that we found. Maybe some of you guys in the comments can tell me what this stuff is. Maybe it has a purpose. So let me take you on a tour of our, I guess we'll call it our junk. Some of this stuff I'm probably going to hang on to because it has some value to me. But yeah, old safes hidden out in the woods, pickup truck frames cut in half. I don't know, some car parts, random stuff. They had some weird stuff going on over here. I have no idea, you know, what it was. Maybe they just wrecked the truck and they decided to cut it in half and save the pickup bed. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it was, you know, completely innocent, but there's a lot of signs around here that kind of indicate it probably wasn't completely innocent. So some stuff that I might be able to get some use out of. I was just probing around earlier, and that tire right there actually holds air. It's a 14-inch BF Goodrich. It looks a little dry rotted. Ideally, I'd be able to take that wheel right there. It's a 5-lug, and maybe I'll get lucky and it'll bolt right up to my little Toyota utility trailer I have over there, because I have a whole set of 4 of those wheels. I think they go to some sort of a Dodge. Like, I'm thinking like Dodge Shadow from the 90s, something like that, with 14-inch wheels. So I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Do you know what car those wheels came from? Here's a good look at them. They have that kind of a turbine look about them. This bumper here appears to be, I think it's off of a Dodge, but I have no idea. Obviously the guy was a pipeline welder or something like that at some point. Car parts. Now some of these I might want to save, like those valve covers. They look like small block Chevrolet valve covers. That's a small block Chevrolet starter. I doubt it's any good, but I might give it a try and see if it'll spin over and save it. Some of this junk is obviously, that's just trash. We're going to scrap that out. Wheels galore. Wheels and tires galore. And my wife, she'll find some interesting bottle and she'll be like, ooh, I've never seen a bottle like that, and she'll save it. But there's a bunch of stuff like, I mean, that's some sort of a heavy duty pin right there that you could use that for, you know, a punch or something, a giant punch if you needed to bang on something. I don't know what that is, a big old spike of some kind. But the point is the reason I have to pick all this stuff up, obviously, if I want to brush hog, you can't brush hog over this kind of stuff. So that's one of the important reasons that you want to keep your bucket down low when you're doing brush hogging on land you're not super familiar with. So some of this stuff we're going to save, and we're actually setting up a spot to be our own little junkyard. But like that whole plastic bed liner there, it's a second one. I doubt I need it. It's pretty bad shape. It's torn in several places. I'll probably just chop that up and slowly put that in my trash can. Oh wait, you need an engine block? Here's a good one, low miles. I know what I got here. You know, have you ever heard that on the Facebook Marketplace? They're like, that thing was running when pulled. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Or used to run. Well, obviously it used to run when it was brand new. I don't know what that is. I think that's a trailer axle hub assembly of some kind, but I don't have anything that fits that. It might actually be for a mobile home axle, which I do have a couple of those mobile home axles over here. I'll show you in a moment. Here's the rear end probably out of that truck over there, that frame, I'm guessing. It may not be. It looks very GM to me. I think it's probably out of a Chevy truck. Running boards. These people had a thing for buying trucks with running boards and pulling them off. I've got several sets of these, and I don't want to throw them away because maybe we could use them for something. I haven't quite figured out what yet, but they're going to go in my scrap pile. But like all these worthless weed eaters, I'm probably going to put them in a pile. I've got like 5 or 6 of them, and I'll probably, you know, try to sell them on Marketplace or something. This little four-wheeler here is actually a kid's toy. But what I liked about it is it has some really good looking, I think they're inflated tires here, it looks like, but they're still holding air. I might be able to use these wheels and axles for a project or something, but the rest of it's probably scrap. I might save some of that steering componentry right there. Several of these jugs like this that they were housing used motor oil in, and my wife and I, we spent a whole summer just about getting bitten by mosquitoes. Not only pumping these buckets out, but we've got several 55-gallon drums that were plumb full of oil. An old air conditioner. That's going to be a little bit of a problem to get rid of because a lot of people don't want to take compressors and stuff, air conditioner compressors. You know, satellite dish. What was interesting about this thing was a little stand. I'll probably try to save that for I don't know what, but it's a nice little tripod stand that you could throw up on something and hang a flag off of it, whatever you might want to do. I don't know. I'll think of something around the farm to use that for, I'm sure. An old reel mower. Been saving this for my sister. She loves these reel mowers, so I've been saving this for her because she'll come over and get that one of these days and restore it. And I'll put her out here on my pasture and be like, yep, there we go. Not really. A kind of a cool looking old rototiller, but with no motor on it, obviously. But, you know, if I'm going to scrap something like that, I generally go through and take the pulleys, the wheels, any cables that I might be able to salvage, you know, like even this throttle lever here. Now the cable's frozen, it feels like, but, you know, there might be things on this, mechanisms and different things that would be hard to reproduce. And I'll save that and put them in a junk drawer in case I ever need it for a welding project or whatever I might be working on. There's some cool little levers and stuff on that thing. This is all mostly junk. Catalytic converter. I guess those things are high value now, so I should probably try to sell that or something. Big old chain. We're going to be using that for doing some tree grubbing and pulling brush out, stuff like that. Lawnmower, no good. But again, I'll save the wheels. The frame and deck actually looks pretty good. I may save that just as a parts mower, but I don't think the engine's any good. Doesn't look like it, doesn't appear to be, and I don't see a pull rope, so I can't even try it. 90s model Dodge parts. Got a fender here. It's got a couple of little dings and dents in it here. I don't know, man. I don't know how rare these things are, if I should try to sell this or if I should just throw that in the scrap bin. I'm not real sure. It might be worth 40, 50 bucks to somebody out there. There's a grill. It looks to be in really good condition, so maybe I could sell that. Do you guys remember these? Of course, I grew up with them, but the ones we had, we never had one that big. This was a giant one back in the, early 90s and stuff. Big old TV, and that thing, I had to have the tractor bucket just to pick that thing up. This is interesting. I'm not real sure what to do with it. Do you recognize what it is already from that angle? I'll give you a second to type it in the comments, but basically it's a what I believe is an RV generator, an old RV generator, and it's got a V-twin on it, but the problem is it's been sitting out getting rained in for a very long time. I did just a little while ago turn it a little, so it does appear to move a little, but I can't get a complete rotation out of it. I think the engine part of it's probably going to need a full rebuild. But I thought, you know, that's a great big old hog of a generator motor right there. So maybe I could disconnect that generator motor and figure out a way to hook that up to the PTO shaft of my tractor, and, you know, or something like that. It looks like it needs a little bit of wiring work done, but, you know, I'm sure there's some value to it. Or maybe I should just sell the generator motor. Somebody else wants to do that. These look like tractor or implement wheels, so I'm definitely not going to be getting rid of these real quick or anything, but they have hubs and axles, or axles, let's just say that. And I might be able to make something, you know, make some sort of a, been trying to come up with how I'm going to move my shipping containers around. And so maybe I could, you know, do a little welding on this and make myself a set of wheels. Of course, I'd have to put new tires on them, but I got a pair of those. So then I could, you know, move the shipping containers around like a dolly. A couple of clothesline poles. That big pipe right there is actually a mobile home axle, but it doesn't have the hubs on the end. This one still has the hubs on the end. So I've got a mobile home axle. That was one of my plans for moving that shipping container, was extending that out a little wider, you know, cutting it in the middle and sleeving it with a big piece of pipe, and then raising the shipping container up, setting it down on there, and then, you know, obviously it'd have tires on it. Basketball goal, clothesline post. These are all things that were hidden out in brush just like that. So you wouldn't even know about it until you were up on it, pushing it with your bucket, and you had to get to the point where you could feel what your bucket was feeling. It's hard to explain, but you kind of become one with the tractor. There's no value in this to me, but someone that has, you know, this model of, what is it, a Murray or a yard machine, an older yard machine with a gear drive, it looks like. I don't know if it's gear drive or it says automatic transmission, so I have no idea. It might be an early hydrostatic drive, I don't know. But the engine spins over, so somebody might want that for either parts or to restore. And I've got another one over here. And one of the other cool things, we found a couple of like useful, it's really not useful in any way except for farm art. We found some different farm art things that we can use around here, and we have plans for. Like this big thing right here. It's some sort of, obviously it said New Holland on it, and it's some sort of a grain bin type deal, or a feed bin, best we can figure out. And it had some sort of an auger system inside of it, I believe, that would help distribute the stuff out the bottom. So obviously it stood up like that, probably on a stand, and, you know, you'd put your feed in there and you could see through the little sight glasses how much feed you had. At least that's my guess. If you know what this is, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, I could just see that being incorporated around the farm here, just as a piece of cool old farm yard art. But yeah, we got us a pretty nice day going today, out here cleaning and sorting. And I'll take you back over and show you one or two more things. Yeah, look at this, the before and after. This is where a lot of that stuff was, right in here. But the reason it was in here was my wife and I had sorted this out. It was all scattered all across the front here, and we sorted it all together and put it in a pile right here like a year and a half ago. And in a year and a half, the sumacs and the sticker bushes and everything grew up that freaking tall and had buried everything, so we had to pull it back out. And there's the remnants of an old gravel driveway that went right there, and so we're trying to put it right there so that we'll be able to sort through it and take what we need to take to the scrapyard over to the scrapyard. So a bunch of more. This is deck wood in here, like deck boards. Probably not going to get any use out of them, probably just end up burning them, but we saved them in case we could find some use for them. And giant tractor tire, big pile of tires and rims in many cases. And if I can figure out what those rims fit, some of them, like that one, that's a wagon wheel over there of some kind. You know, that it looks like an 8-lug, yeah, like an 8-lug wagon wheel. And I don't know if that's a factory rim or a trailer rim or what, but somebody would probably want that. I have no idea what this little rim fits. Maybe it'd fit my Toyota trailer, but the tire looks like it's garbage. But anyway, the point is that I've got a lot to go through, and a lot of these tires we're going to use for holding ground and stuff. Here's another interesting piece of treasure that I found over here. The jack and all that crap on the top is probably all garbage, but this can be cleaned out and used. Give you a second to look that over. You can take a guess at what that is. If you're from a farm or grew up on a farm, you know exactly what that is, especially with that thing sitting on top of it. It's a diesel tank or a fuel tank. So several big pieces of pipe like this that I can make into different things. But this was the one I wanted you guys to let me know. What is your guess, and what is the reason that this is made this way? I told my wife I thought somebody was just learning to weld and they put all these beads on there for that reason, but I really don't know if that's true. It's hollow on the bottom. It's so heavy that I'm not even going to attempt to move it. It has a big hole in the top. Looks like it was cut with a torch, but it looks like you would hook a big old shackle or a chain onto that thing, hook a chain through it and pick it up and do something with it. My wife's guess was that, I mean, you got to keep in mind, this thing is big, guys. It's like, it's not quite 4 feet. It's probably 3.5 feet tall to here, and then maybe 4 feet tall to there. But it's heavy and it's hollow on the, you know, the bottom is open. So let me know what your guesses are down in the comments. What would this have been used for on a farm? My wife thought maybe an anchor for a boat dock or something like that. But man, if you put something like that in the water, you're never getting it out unless you have an excavator or a tractor or something to pull it out with. So I don't know. My guess is it's a giant post driver designed to be used with a tractor or a backhoe. And so the tractor bucket would have a chain on it, and you would pick this thing up, and because it's hollow and open at the bottom, you could take great big old oil filled pipes or wooden posts and stick them in the ground and drop that thing down on it, and it would drive them in the ground. Now, I don't know how straight it would drive them in the ground, but I think it would drive them in the ground. That's my guess of what it is. Let me know what you guys think it is down in the comments below. And of course, a couple of, like it looks like a propane bottle, a big one of some kind. All of this stone, every bit of this stone was scattered all over this front area. My wife and I painstakingly picked it all up and stacked it. And some of these are, I mean, great big, thick, like 4-inch, I'd say 4-inch concrete pavers there. So those will be useful for a lot of different things. Whole bunch of cinder blocks. I mean, again, this stuff was just scattered everywhere. An old engine stand, I probably ought to just get rid of that, but the only reason I saved it is it's made out of pretty heavy steel, and maybe I can figure out some other project to use that for in the future. Bunch of T-posts. Again, the vast majority of the stuff was scattered all around here. Here's a hood for that Dodge pickup truck, and rather than scrapping that out, what I've been using it for, and in fact I learned this on Wrangler Star years ago, what I've been using this for is a little a cart to pull behind my tractor or my Bombardier Trackster or my Chevy pickup. And what I'll do is tie a chain or a pull strap on the front of that. It's a Dodge, so it had that little framing down below it. And so when I pull this thing, it's shaped just right because it's a 90s model Dodge truck. It's got the right kind of a shape to it. It pulls through everything. I can pull it through the woods. I mean, to a point. It's not going to run up against a really big tree, but through smaller trees, little stuff like this, I can pull it right through that, and it never gets hung up. It's awesome. And so if I'm needing to yard stuff around and I don't have a trailer, I can just use that. And more tires. And so anyway, a whole lot of junk, a whole lot of stuff that we'll probably just end up putting in our junk pile and maybe never using. But we'll have it in case we need it for a welding project or something like that. And just in case we hit hard times, we've got not one, but 2 shopping carts around here so that we can utilize those for when these SHTF hard times come upon us. I found several shovel heads, almost run them over with the tractor is how I found them. And these are actually marking old mobile home anchors. I don't want to hit these with a lawnmower or anything because, you know, that'll tear some stuff up. I need to pull them out. I've actually got like 3 of them or 4 of them right over here. Here's our shipping containers. We brought those in, but yeah, got another nice shopping cart right there for your SHTF traveling. You'd be traveling in style with something that nice and new. The only thing about these is they're more for urban environments. They don't work so good on grass or on dirt roads. So I may do some bartering for some hard up urbanite in the future and talk them into a beautiful, I don't know if that's a Walmart or what that is, the Lowe's, Walmart, big old basket. So we'll be able to use that for something. So I promised you guys a little while ago that I would show you how I know what's in this safe and how I know it's not worth cracking. Let's see, it's pretty heavy. I doubt I can just kick it over. Nope. So somebody broke into the bottom of it, it looks like, and threw it out in the woods to hide the evidence. That's what I'm guessing. I told my wife what would be interesting. Now it looks like it's a fire safe. It's got some sort of a foam layer stuff inside of it, I assume is fire protection. I don't know why else you would want insulation in there. But I was telling my wife what would be really cool is if I could turn this into a wood stove or something. That'd be really neat to have that as a wood stove in a cabin or something like that. Not for a big house because it's not super big, but yeah, unfortunately, they already got to the gold before I could get there. So guys, I appreciate you tuning in. These are the kinds of interesting things that we're finding on our land. Kind of makes you wonder what the previous owners were like, right? I mean, that trailer right there looks like Walter White could go right in there and make himself a nice little home. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Hit me up in the comments.